Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and we're currently nearly halfway through 2023, which doesn't mean much on its own, but it does mean that it's a good excuse and opportunity to talk about the favorite games, my favorite games I've played in 2023 so far. This is going to be a video of 25 games. You're right, there are not 25 games on the table. I don't plan on having 25 games on the table. Some of the games I don't have, and some of the boxes I just don't want to pick up and move to the table, and I don't want to try to fit 25 games into the shot. So this is just a sample of some of the things we're going to talk about, and the rest of them we're going to get through bit by bit, timestamps as usual down below. And the first 15 or so I'm going to go through a little bit more quickly, and the last 10, the top 10 of the year so far, are the ones I'm going to focus on the most. There are a handful of games I've given a 5 out of 5 here. In fact, I have to double check. I think there may only be one official 5 out of 5 on this list. There's a whole bunch of 4.5 out of 5s, and then a bunch of 4s. And I picked and chose as far as, you know, the 4s that called to me more. I think there are some 4s this year that have not made the cut for this particular video. And I will also say that I ranked these in order. I'm going to be going through these from my least to most favorite. That's not necessarily based on purely the ranking alone. It's based on what was currently going through my head as I ranked everything in PubMeeple. And then from there, I'll just say as well, the last caveats and disclaimers, because no list is complete without like 13 caveats and disclaimers. But the last caveats and disclaimers are that these are games that I played for the first time in 2023. Unless it was a prototype that I played in the past and the final game showed up in 2023, and now I'm playing the final game for the first time. You can see examples of that with like Rolling Heights over here is a game I played a while ago, but it showed up in 2023, so I'm counting that as first plays of 2023. Also, the other exception is Frosthaven, because Frosthaven I technically played, it started playing at the end of 2022, but it's really considered to be a 2023 title, so that's the other exception over here. Past that, fairly straightforward. First plays in 2023, whether or not it is a 2023 game. And with that, let's start off with number 25. And number 25 was, I wasn't sure whether to put on the list, but I decided to compromise by putting it at number 25, and that's Cysmic. Cysmic was a crowdfunding campaign that had an incredible game. I really enjoyed the game, with the caveat that I am concerned that it might be too fiddly to actually table. There's a very large board, and this is all prototype. I don't know what the final game will be like, but there are so many miniatures, so much stuff, and a lot of it will come down to how well the storage solution, final size, and everything. I don't know. I won't have a final opinion until I play the final game. What I know is that the game was very large and unwieldy to actually manage, but was a delightful experience past that. Once you get past the actual things in the way of getting it set up, it was a delightful experience that I really enjoyed. Seismic comes in at my number 25. I thought it was very well done. Crowdfunding campaign, you may still be able to lay pledge for it. I don't know. I'll talk with them as I go through it. Number 24, on the other hand, is a prototype, one that is not yet available but will be available, and that's a small little pocket game called Sirens. It's a wallet game. It's from the same creator as the person who did Mind Your Business, I believe. And Matthew Ryan, I believe, and he created a game called Sirens, which is part of a multiple game crowdfunding campaign. I've only played Sirens from them, but I really enjoyed it. I like button shy games in general. In fact, there's a button shy game later up on this list, and I really enjoyed playing through Sirens. Just one play, but it's a back and forth two-player drafting game as you try to draft the cards that will give you the ideal scoring, and the game keeps it variable by having the cards also have different scoring goals in play, so that there's a degree of just constantly evolving scoring in the game, so you have to figure out what you're trying to go for, because the scoring and adjustment changes every single round. Plays very quickly, small wallet size game. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to adding it to my wallet games that I have in my collection. Number 23 is going to be another upcoming crowdfunding campaign, and it's going to be a mix. Again, this list has a large mix of upcoming campaigns, past campaigns, campaigns that just finished, finally arrived games, whole bunch of things in here. But number 23 is going to be Stonespine Architects from Thunderworks Games. That's a kind of cartographer's adjacent game. It's in the role player universe, and it's a game which you are trying to create a prison, maybe? I'm not entirely sure what you're doing. You're some form of architect, and you're creating a layout of 4x4 cards while trying to go for multiple scoring goals. It's going to be in the same vein as any of these games in which you're trying to accomplish multiple scoring goals as you play. So again, games like Cartographers, games like, Cascadia or Calico, any of those, it's going to have that kind of vibe to it. But overall, I just found it very enjoyable. Only one play so far, but I enjoyed my first play a lot. It gives you that Cartographer's vibe, but in a more of a card-laying 4x4 prison building system that you bid on various extras to add to your prison, from traps to prisoners to all these different things as you go through it. Again, I think you're building a prison. Not entirely sure, but there's also escape paths, maybe helping people escape from it. I'm not entirely... You're architects in some way, shape, or form, but I enjoyed the game, which is the main point of it. Number 22 is Mille Fiori. That one's over here, and this is a tough one because Mille Fiori, I played it the first time, and I was like, I think I'm going to get rid of it. And I still have to review it. I have not reviewed Mille Fiori yet. You will see a review at some point. But I played it the first time, and I was like, you know what? I enjoyed that. That was fun, but I can get rid of it. But then it kind of just sat in my mind. It sat there in my mind. It continued to be there. And it's a game that it's it's very light as far as what you're actually doing, but you're scoring loads of points. As you go through the game, as you play the game, you're just doing everything you can to put down little tiles, score tons of points as you try to figure out the most efficient way to place tiles down in like 6 different regions and draft and play the right cards. It is on the lighter side, and it's a game, this is the only game on the list, I think, that I have so far that might be a 3.5. I don't know where I'm rating this one yet because I don't know about the longevity of it. All I know is I keep wanting to play it. When I look around at games I want to play Mille Fiori. It sat there and it's still in my mind even now, and so we'll see what actually happens with it. I don't know. I think it'll be around. I think it's sticking around, but I really like it, and again, going through the ranking system, that's my number 22. My number 21, I should have actually grabbed 21 off the shelf, it's a small box game, but it's District Noir from Pandasaurus Games. I really like District Noir, it caught me by surprise, and that I think it's a fairly low-rated game on BGG, and more specifically, it's a reprint of a fairly low-rated game. I think the original District Noir was like a 6.8, 6.9, which is not low, but not that highly rated, and I don't know if there are any changes to the new version. I have no idea if they made any changes at all. I mean, they know they made art changes, but I don't know if they did any mechanical changes. But I really like District Noir. It's a 2-player head-to-head game, only 2 players, and what you're doing is you're trying to draft cards, or not really draft cards, open drafting, so to speak. On your turn, you're placing cards down into a row that you're building, and then at any one point, someone can grab the last 5 cards. So it's a bit of a teasing game as you try to tease out when and where to bait your opponent with the cards that they will want, because once they grab, at that point, for the rest of the turn, they have to play cards and you can grab. So it's a very interesting game, very adjacent to Raw in terms of the idea of a row that you're trying to figure out where someone's eventually going to try to win everything, but without the auction, more it's just straight up you can grab the cards. I really like District Noir. It was a very big surprise to me as far as how much I enjoyed it. It's one of those games that reminds me that sometimes when I agree to cover smaller games, like small box games, I wonder which ones will stick versus which ones will be, hey, I played it, here you go, 3.5, 3, move on, and I'm done. But District Noir really landed for me. Very much a surprise, was not expecting much from it. It looked fun, but lots of games look fun. And that game managed to hook me, and anyways, moving on to number 21. That was 21. Moving on to number 20, we have Sentinels of the Multiverse Definitive Edition, which is over here somewhere. Here we go. Sentinels of the Multiverse Definitive Edition, and I wasn't sure whether to include this one, because this one also is another, I guess, caveat, because technically it's really an enhanced version of an older game. But it did lock in that I kind of want to get Sentinels of the Multiverse back. I already backed the newest crowdfunding campaign over on BackKit, and I want to get more of the stuff for this because I really enjoyed diving back into the Sentinels of the Multiverse world. It was one of the first games I played when I got into the hobby. The original flat pack Sentinels of the Multiverse, small little box, not even the enhanced edition. I played the original game, and then I played the enhanced version on top of that, and now I'm playing the definitive version, and I really like Sentinels of the Multiverse, and this does streamline a lot of things. I don't know if I'm prepared to go all into the world they have, because they have a lot of content for that universe. At least they will continue to put out new content for the universe, but I do know that I enjoy the game a lot, and that's why it's on this list. Number 19, I mean, that was number 20 we just did. Number 19 is going to be Endeavor Deep Sea from Burnt Island Games. Endeavor Deep Sea is the newer version of Endeavor Age of Sail. Endeavor Age of Sail was already a game that I enjoy, already a game I have in my collection still, and very much want to, well, very much hold on to for right now, and I'll see what I do when Endeavor Deep Sea shows up, because I know that I want one of these games. I don't think I need both in my collection. They share the same mechanic, and I don't think I need both of them, but they are great games, and Endeavor Deep Sea it took a lot of the elements from Endeavor Age of Sail that I enjoyed, the main tableau building mechanism, and it gave you a more interesting puzzle as you try to navigate the oceans and figure out what you're going to do to score as many points as possible in the game. I really enjoy the tableau building in Endeavor Deep Sea, and I think they took a good system and they just made it better. That's what it comes down to. I think they took a good system and they just made it better. Number 18 is Skytear Horde. Now this one is, again, Skytear Horde is over here. Skytear Horde is a game that I played the prototype a while ago when they had the crowdfunding campaign, and then Skytear Horde, when it showed up, it's a game that I've already played 5 or 6 times since it showed up. I enjoy diving into this one both solo and cooperatively in a game that has you basically trying to deal with your hand of cards against the AI opponent. There is a head-to-head mode. It's not the main way to play, and I have not played it that way yet. But Skytear Horde gives you a lot of variability in the various factions you can actually take on, and overall is just an incredibly solid experience that I very much enjoy. Primarily solo. I think from the 5 or 6 players I've played, I think 4 of them have been solo and 2 of them have been cooperative, if I'm not mistaken. But I like it both ways. I just find it's easier to table solo. When I'm looking for a game that plays in 30 to 45 minutes and gives me a crunchy little experience of how I'm going to take down the enemies, very much enjoying Skytear Horde. It's going to be a very similar vein to playing through a Marvel Champions experience or Set of Watch, or any of those games, but I think Skytear Horde is as more rewarding than Set a Watch, less rewarding than Marvel Champions, but less setup, and so it very much falls into a nice sweet spot as far as my collection goes. Number 17 is a small little game called Numbsters. 17 is Numbsters is a game which you have, I think, 18 numbers, if I recall correctly. I should have put it as number 18, but that was not the point of this list. This is ordered based on me throwing things into Pub Meeple, a ranking engine, and trying to see how they came out. But Numbsters is a delightful little button shy game that has really surprised me with how much I enjoy it for what it does. Now, it's not going to win any major awards. It's just a simple game as far as having the numbers eat each other. The whole entire game is based off the play of 7, 8, 9, and you have the numbers eating adjacent numbers using the 8 as the, 12, 8, 13, 1, 8, 2, all of that as you go through the system. And there's a lot of manipulation and number crunching, but I like the fact that it does what it does well, and it actually literally plays in your hand. This is a game you don't even need a table for. Forget talking about, playing on an airplane tray table, something like that. You can literally play this game in your hand, and it's a lot of fun to do so. Numbsters, to me, I don't even know how they would expand it. I don't think they're going to expand it. This is one of those crowdfunding campaigns from Button Shy, which they didn't even release an extra card, a pack of cards. They just gave you like an extra side game instead, which I haven't actually played that extra side game. I should check it out, but I know that Numbsters is very good at what it's trying to do, and it's not trying to do a lot, but what it does well. Number 16 is Frosthaven. And Frosthaven's not higher on this list because it's harder for me to be as excited about Frosthaven because I have spent 100 hours plus of my life this past year playing through Gloomhaven. And so I don't have that same level of excitement that I have towards it. I like Frosthaven, make no mistake, but I'm looking through the list over here and I'm ranking things against each other. Honestly, Numbsters almost won out against... Numbsters was almost higher than Frosthaven on this list over here, just one off over here, and that's because, again, Frosthaven's a great game, it's a great system, it's the next iteration of Gloomhaven, it gives you extra stuff to do, although I haven't fully seen just how much of that extra stuff really changes the whole world. Right now, I'm doing the extra stuff, but that hasn't drastically changed my experience. But I know that I enjoy Frosthaven. It is consistently good, and a game that I am still happy to spend dozens and dozens of hours in, despite the fact that I've played 100 plus hours of Gloomhaven this past year. At this point, I'm probably 150 hours into Gloomhaven this past year, and I'm still having fun playing Frosthaven. That does still mean something. So I'm less excited about Frosthaven, and it might rank higher than other games above it. There are some games above Frosthaven that Frosthaven would rank higher, but I'm a drop less excited just because of how much time I've given the world and the ecosystem. Now, before we dive into number 15, take a little second here to talk about our partner, Mint Mobile. They reached out to me to talk about partnering with them, and I was like, this is an easy conversation because I happened to switch to Mint a few months before they even started talking to me. And if you switch to Mint Mobile, you can expect to see plans for as low as $15 a month as you try out the various options and offerings. You expect to see a decent amount of data for what you're paying over there. You're going to be on the nation's largest 4G LTE network, and for most people, you can expect to see some degree of savings. On a personal level, for me, I've been saving $30 to $40 a month while experiencing basically the same exact service as what I had before. I mean, I can't speak for the actual what they are or aren't, but my phone works, it does the calls, it has all the speed and all the things that I had before while saving $30 to $40 a month. And so I'm very happy with my Switch, and I highly recommend it. I know they're the partner of the video, I do know that, but at the same time, on a personal level, I switched to them, have been saving money, and I do recommend the service. If you do want to try them out, it literally takes 10 minutes or less to actually switch, and I say that as somebody who did this. I went online and did it. It takes 10 minutes or less to switch. In most cases, it should be, as I would imagine in your case as well. And if you do want to make the switch, please use my link in the description down below, the top of the video. Please use my link. That's so they know that I sent you. I'd appreciate that. And yeah, it's worth checking out. I've been on the plan myself since January, and I plan on staying on it for, well, who knows how long, but we'll see. But either way, moving on to number 15. Number 15 is going to be the Age of Atlantis. 15 is Age of Atlantis, which is over here. This is one that I had a chance to play at Gamma, and I really enjoyed it. Brant Brinkerhoff, the designer of Oros, had a chance to teach it to me. I really liked what Age of Atlantis is doing as far as the tableau building and the sheer amount of research opportunities you have in the game. You can have your player board that allows you to research different perks that will upgrade your stats, but also give you different actions. And the economy in the game is tight. The game only lasts 5 rounds, and whenever a game tells me it doesn't officially last 5 rounds, I'm sorry, it has a specific sequence of play that usually means 5 or 6 rounds of play. And it's very hard when a game is that short in theory, because I start thinking through all the things I won't get a chance to do, but Age of Atlantis has a nice tempo and pacing to it. It gives you a good 90 to 120 minute experience that is a lot of fun to go through. I really enjoyed the Age of Atlantis, and I'm eager to dive back into it. I've only had a chance to play it once, but I really enjoyed my first play. At number 14, we have one that I'm almost surprised made the list, but that's Mother of Frankenstein over here. This is one from Arcane Wonders, and it's basically an escape room style game in a box. It's a bunch of puzzles and mysteries as you try to figure out the logical puzzles that are being placed in front of you, that Mary Shelley left her son in the game, and I just think it's a very, very good game. I like escape rooms and exit games in general, and this one, to me, Mother of Frankenstein, definitely hit out of the park as being giving you a lot of game time for a fairly reasonable price point. Like, I think it's like $35 for, they box says 4 to 6 hours of puzzle work. If you're playing it 1 or 2 players, I think you're talking about closer to like 6 to 8 hours of puzzling things together as you work your way through logical puzzles. I really enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to diving into volumes 2 and 3 as well. Number 12, what are two? Number 13. Number 13 is Conquest Princess Fashion as Power. This is an upcoming crowdfunding campaign. From Seppi Yoon, the designer from the Fight in the Box games, basically. And it's a solo and cooperative experience in which you are basically trying to deal with the various scenarios at play as you take down various invading hordes of enemies while trying to balance basically how you spend your economy. There's a degree of bag building, there's a degree of various action items you can be placing onto your class and characters so you can power them up. It's basically just a puzzle of trying to figure out how you can slowly power up your characters, go through your magical transformation. It is a very, very fun game that I've had a chance to play this one, I think, 3 times so far, and I plan on continuing to dive into it, and it's a lot of fun. It's basically a cooperative puzzle. It gives me strong vibes of The Loop, one of the games from last year that I've really been enjoying, The Loop, and it gives me strong vibes of that kind of system. A little more chaotic in terms of what it does, but also it has the same degree of different scenarios within the same general concept and system, and the way things mix together, while giving you just how am I going to survive the onslaught of things facing me down. Number 12 is going to be the Isofarian Guard. That was definitely a box I did not want to put on this table. That's a large box. Isofarian Guard is fantastic. It's a great game. It's a great campaign game experience that I don't know when I'm spending the time diving into it properly and fully, but it's a game I've already given 10 plus hours to. And Isofarian Guard gives you excellent bag building, very rewarding bag building, a very rewarding journey, as a drop of grind to the experience. My only real critique against it is a drop of grind to the experience, as you can get into a situation where you're fighting the same fight again and again. You almost want to skip them, and the problem is, once you start skipping fights, I know from experience that I'll start skipping more stuff, and that might ruin the experience for me, so I don't want to skip fights. I want to go through the experience properly, but again, drop of grind to the experience. But past that, Isofarian Guard gives you delightful bag building, just like, Conquest Princess, but a lot more bag building, a lot of control as you build up your characters, as you choose what chips to add to their bag, as you go through one of the best narrative experiences I've ever experienced over on the Foreteller app. An absolutely incredible experience. But Isofarian Guard is fantastic. It's just outside my top 10 of 2023 so far. Really great game. Again, the big thing keeping in the way is the fact that it's a 300-hour campaign once you count all the books and all that stuff, and you're talking about a lot of time and potentially a bit of grind as you go through it, but fantastic experience. My number 11 is For Northwood, and it's always interesting to me when I have these situations when this small little game beats out Isofarian Guard, and it's not that it beats it out, there's so many factors that go into what a game is, and I want all kinds of games in my collection. But For Northwood, with this small little accessible box that it is, again, we have bought games like Isofarian Guard next to, we have Isofarian Guard next to For Northwood, we have Numbsters next to, Frosthaven. That's just the way it is when you want a variety to your collection, and I want a variety to my collection. But For Northwood is a delightful solo trick-taking game which you're playing, and yes, solo trick-taking is what it is, but it really works well. I have a full review on the channel, you can check that out, but it's almost more of a solo puzzle than it is a trick-taking puzzle, but it definitely uses trick-taking mechanics as you try to figure out how to work your way through 8 different kingdoms in the game and try to win as many tricks as possible, try to win over those kingdoms with a perfect score ideally, as you go through also a fun little scenario book that really gives you a lot of replayability to the experience that I think the scenario book is a tremendous addition to the game, and I'm glad they included it. Moving on to number 10. Number 10 is where we're going to focus a drop more on these games. And number 10 is not on the table, unfortunately, because that's the Elder Scrolls Betrayal of a Second Era from Chip 3 Games. And I don't have it. It was a prototype. It was on crowdfunding, and currently that prototype is not here. I really like Elder Scrolls Betrayal of a Second Era. I like Too Many Bones more, at least right now. And again, I've only played for like 3 hours, so take that with a grain of salt. This is definitely first impressions territory. But I liked Elder Scrolls a lot. It gives you a lot of the things that Too Many Bones does well, while being very, very different. There's plenty of room to own both in your collection. It almost to me is almost it's almost a cross between Hoplomachus and Too Many Bones, with very much its own flavor and spice thrown in at the same time. But Elder Scrolls was more accessible than Too Many Bones. about as accessible as Hoplomachus, in my opinion. It was one of the easier chip theory games to learn, while giving you a ton of character depth and variety to the experience as far as how you build out your characters, an absolute ton. I don't think it had the creativity that Too Many Bones has, in terms of, Too Many Bones has you eating carcasses to build out your character, or using a loot to try to put your characters, your enemies into trances and whatnot as you take them out. Too Many Bones has a ton of creativity to the way characters are built, versus Elder Scrolls has a large, wide degree of how you can build out your characters in different skill lines and different classes and different starting races and all these different things. And overall it was a phenomenal game so far. Again, I need to dive into it more. I need to properly see it, but I'm very excited for it. I think it's the kind of game, the line I keep using, that I hold true to so far, is that I think I enjoy Too Many Bones a bit more, and I'll play Elder Scrolls more because I think it's easier to get out and dive into. At number 9, we have Cosmoctopus. Cosmoctopus, a light, smaller game, not light, a meaty game from Henry Audubon, from the designer of Parks, from Lucky Duck Games. Cosmoctopus is fantastic. I really enjoyed this one. It gives me many of the things I like in games, which to me is about the puzzle. Like, what's the puzzle of trying to solve it out? And Cosmoctopus feels like a puzzle. You're trying to get your 8 giant tentacles of the giant space Cthulhu octopus or whatever it is. You're trying to build out 8 tentacles, and the way you build tentacles is going to be very, very different depending on how you're navigating this great Cthulhu octopus through space to try to gather resources and play cards. It's a fun, tight little engine, and if you're trying to figure out at what point do you continue to build your engine, and at what point do you cash in on the engine? Which for me, by the way, I'm always in the build your engine territory. I lose these games, I lose them a lot because I very much enjoy building out my engine, but there is a cash out point. There is a point where you sit there and say, good, I have enough cards, I have enough whatever, now it's time to start executing and getting all my tentacles in play, and it's such a delightful little puzzle. I'm eager to dive into it more, I'm eager to play it more with a variety of player counts, with more setups of the actual board, the way you set up the little great inky space or whatever it is. I want to play through the solo mode as well. I really enjoyed Cosmoctopus, I'm excited to dive into it. My number 8 is the Emerald Flame. The Emerald Flame, similar to Mother Frankenstein, is another big box escape room experience. It gives you such, it is expensive, it's very much expensive, but it is such a good, rewarding experience. It has such difficult puzzles to work your way through, but puzzles that I've so far been able to work my way through with across the Emerald Flame core box. Like, there's a bunch of envelopes to go through, a bunch of, again, each envelope being like 3 hours of gameplay, and I've so far only had to use the hint system one time. That one time is definitely a complaint, because that one time was, I felt that even with the hint system, I was kind of like, I'm glad I used the hint system. I don't think this would ever have, whatever, I don't want to spoil things for you, I'm not going to talk about it too much, but the Emerald Flame has all the things that Mother Frankenstein has in terms of how good it is, but I think it has more variety to the types of puzzles and tidbits and things they give you to make the experience very, very involved and just interesting. I really, really have enjoyed my time with the Emerald Flame so far, and I just think it's a fantastic escape room experience. If you like unlock games, if you like exit games, if you like escape rooms, I think you owe it to yourself to try the Emerald Flame at some point, to sit down and give yourself the evening, grab a cup of wine, and just, with whoever you want to play with, yourself, with somebody else, whatever it is. It's a very, very good exit game experience, unlock escape room experience. At number 8, that was number 8. Number 7, we have Massive Darkness. Massive Darkness over here, Hellscape. This is the Heavenfall campaign box, which I plan on diving into, but haven't started yet. But Massive Darkness is a delightfully good experience. I really enjoy Massive Darkness, with the very strong caveat that the game is too easy. It is still fun. I played through it a bunch before I realized that it was too easy, and I realized I was just kind of winning everything. But you get to a certain point, you might realize that, and it'll take away from the experience of the game, at which point Board Game Geek has you covered. There are bunches of ways to, without minimal adjustments, modify the difficulty to your suiting, which is something I don't love doing in games, but I would say that for me, I liked Massive Darkness first. I think a big thing for me in games is, if I don't like the game, I rarely ever will house rule the game to make me like it. But if I do like the game, I am willing to house rule it to make it better. And that's very much what Massive Darkness is to me. It's a dungeon crawler with a wide degree of asymmetric classes that are just fun to play through. You're rolling giant handfuls of dice, which is just fun to do. You are overwhelmed by enemies that you're trying to take out and tactically maneuver and try to back them up into the corner so you can strike from the shadows and use your abilities and power up and gather more loot and eventually take down these big giant bosses that's where the difficulty actually finally comes into play. Massive Darkness is a lot of fun, but it gives you a lot of fun moments. Lots of dice rolling, lots of powers and abilities, lots of things you're going to enjoy, with the caveat that you may have to adjust the experience's difficulty to be what you're looking for. Number 6 is Marvel Zombies. I adore Marvel Zombies, and to me, Marvel Zombies is interesting because right now, Marvel Zombies to me is stuck in a 4/4.5 territory. I say stuck because my favorite version of Marvel Zombies so far is not the one I've been able to play. My favorite version is playing as the heroes against the zombies in the full Marvel Zombies experience, not the smaller box you get from Target or whatever it is. And so that I haven't been able to do since the original crowdfunding campaign. But with that to me is the best version of Marvel Zombies. And that's, again, I haven't been able to play that properly, but I hope to soon. That said, all the versions of Marvel Zombies I've played have been fun. All of them have different economies you're trying to manage in terms of either your power resource or your hunger resource as you try to eat the various spectators along the way and absorb their powers, or rescue and save them so you can benefit from them. It is a brutally tight game of just the zombicide system taken to a very, very different direction in a way that is very rewarding and a lot of fun to play through. I have a lot of fun with Marvel Zombies, and I really should dive into this with another playthrough. Maybe I'll do a playthrough tonight. I don't know. We'll see. Either way, Marvel Zombies, delightful experience. Really enjoyed this one, and I'm excited to dive back into the game. Then at number 5, we have Expeditions from Stonemaier Games. Expeditions is the spiritual successor to Scythe, and it gives you strong Scythe vibes while also being very, very, very different. And Scythe, for me, is a game that I didn't not enjoy Scythe. I enjoy Scythe. I think it's good, but I also don't need to keep it. It's a game that I've played 3 or 4 times and moved on from, and Expeditions is a game, and to be clear, I knew after the first game that I was only okay with Scythe, but I kept playing it because it was good enough, and it's such a hyped game, and it's in a genre I like that I felt maybe I should keep trying it, and I did keep trying it, and it never got better. It was always good, never great. Expeditions, to me, my very first play started off as good, and even through the first play, continued to get better and better as I played. By the time I got to the end of it, most of my complaints had vanished, and I was ready to dive back in. I have not yet had a chance to dive back in, but I will be diving back into it at some point soon. I'm sure you'll see coverage of the game for me, but Expeditions was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoy the experience. It gives you the Scythe universe, it gives you the Scythe variable scoring, and it just gives you tableau building as far as how you're going to be trying to build out and manage your puzzle in the game. It has the thing I like from these game systems of there's so much stuff to do, but it's how you try to manage that system, it's how you try to take advantage of the system that gives you the puzzle at play. I really like Expeditions, really strong like. It has the potential to be a 5 out of 5 for me. I'm not ready to say that yet. It's either a 4.5 or a 5. I'd be shocked if it goes down to a 4. Shocked. I could be wrong. I've only have one play under my belt, but I usually have a good sense of when I know how I feel about a game versus when I feel a certain way, but I need more plays to see if that changes. In the case of Expeditions, I'm pretty sure I know how I feel about the game. Now it's time to actually put the pedal to the metal, play it more, and see if that changes, but I really, really like Expeditions. Number 4 is one that currently is higher than Expeditions, but may not be down the road, and that's Rolling Heights from AEG. I love Rolling Heights. It is so much fun to roll meeples into a box. I don't know why. Rolling Heights is a very similar system to Cubitos and Quacks of Quedlinburg, and I like both those games. I have both those games. I probably don't need to have all 3 of these games, but currently I do. But Rolling Heights to me is the best version of it. Something about rolling meeples is so much more fun than drawing tokens from a bag or rolling dice. And it's weird because you wouldn't necessarily think that way, but there's something so satisfying about having 3 or 4 meeples left in the box and you throw them against the wall and they all come standing and you get a ton of resources. It's just satisfying. Rolling Heights is not the most strategic game. There's a lot of luck in it. Inherently, the nature of constantly rolling and pushing your luck and all that means it's a very luck-driven game, while also having plenty of strategy in it at the same time. Sometimes you don't get to complete that giant monstrosity of glass and steel that you're trying to build in the city that you're all sharing, but other times you do, and Rolling Heights is so much fun. My initial rating of Rolling Heights was a 4, and it's only gone up since then. This is one of those games that, sometimes I do my regular, look in year in review, where was the game's rating last year and all that, and for Rolling Heights, that number is going to go up. I guarantee you Rolling Heights is going up. It's just such a good time. I enjoy it so much, and it doesn't have the variability that Cubitos has, doesn't have the variability Quacks has. I hope they have an expansion for it, because I really like the Rolling Heights system, and I'm excited to see more of it. My number 3 is Tanares Adventures, which I don't want to grab the big box, but I grabbed this nice little World and Art of Arena of the Contest. It said World and Art of Arena of the Contest, yeah, but Tanares Adventures. That's the campaign system, the campaign solo, Tanares Adventures, Arena of the Contest. I've had a lot of fun going through that system. Like, a lot of fun. I think Tanares Adventures is an amazingly good time. It's Tanares Adventures. Tanares Adventures is a campaign-driven experience. It's going to take you around 60 plays or so, 20 plays or so, but around 60 hours of content in there, and you can replay it again and have branching storylines and timelines and all this stuff, and I think Tanares Adventures is just ridiculously good. That's what it comes down to. I think it's a lot of fun. It gives you powers and abilities, gives you characters working together. It gives you the ability to swap in and out characters if you're getting too bored of the current build you have at the moment. I like what the game does a lot. It is very, very satisfying, and it's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite campaign games to go through right now, if not my favorite campaign game. It is a lot to set up and table. It's one of those games that I set it up on when I have the entire Saturday in front of me and that's all I have. That's when I set it up. It's not a game that Beer is setting up when you have 2 hours. It's a game that Beer is setting up when you have 8 hours and you want to spend the next 8 hours playing through Arena of the Contest, playing through Tanares Adventures, and that's something that I've done multiple times throughout this campaign. I need to dive back into it because I still want to finish this campaign, but I mean, if I do finish this campaign at 60 hours in, it's going to be, well, I guess Gloomhaven I finished, and I finished Roleplay Adventures. I actually am finishing more campaign games nowadays, but Tanares Adventures, whether I finish it or not, this is one of those games that's sticking around. It's one of those games that's going to be in my collection for a long time, if not forever, because of how much fun it is and how much variability there is to the experience. I love Tanares Adventures. It's an excellent, excellent, excellent game, and also this is one of those moments when I then follow up Tanares Adventures with my number 2, which is 20 Strong. Now, it's not that 20 Strong is necessarily better than Tanares, but 20 Strong has the potential to be a 5 out of 5. I need to play it more. I'm not giving it a 5 out of 5 just yet. Tanares is one of 2 official 5 out of 5s on the list. My number 3 and my number 1 are 5 out of 5s in my collection. Frosthaven might be. It's very hard. It's very, very hard to rate a game where I spent hundreds of hours in it, and I both love and appreciate it, but also I'm a little bit tired of it. So Frosthaven, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do with that one, but for right now, what I will say is there's 2 for sure 5 out of 5s on this list. There's Tanares Adventures, and then my number 1 pick. But 20 Strong is a potential pick. And it's so accessible. And it's a small, little solo experience. And I've had a chance to play it once, twice. I mean, technically 1 full game and then seeing the other systems at play. 20 Strong is an excellent dice management system as you try to figure out how to take down the various enemies and keep your pool of dice alive. It has strong vibes that are similar to games like Resist or similar. In fact, Resist is actually a very fair comparison. If you've played through Resist versus 20 Strong are very fair comparisons. The difference is that Resist is about getting weaker. It's inherently about getting weaker as you play. Whereas 20 Strong is not about getting weaker, it's about trying to not get weaker. And so it's very different systems at play because of nature, Resist has the ability to cash in on your cards, so in order for the game to be balanced, you kind of have to get weaker so you can have that final push where you cash in all your cards. If you didn't get weaker throughout Resist, then you would just have a very anticlimactic endgame. Versus 20 Strong is about trying to maintain your power as the game tries to take you down as you try to recover from it. You're taking down enemies who are going to require that you use your dice and spend them and lose them. But that also means you're going to get perks and you can use those to buff up various attributes in the game, and you're trying to manage all this and your dice pool as you go through hordes and hordes and hordes of enemies. It was a very, very satisfying experience, and I'm very much looking forward to the final game. 20 Strong is fantastic, and I'm just looking forward to it. Finally, my number 1 pick, which you may have noticed because it's on the table at this point. My number 1 pick is D.E.I. D.E.I. for me 2023 started off nice and strong with me playing D.E.I. and I was like, this is my current game of the year, and it's still my current game of the year. I've continued to dive into D.E.I. time and time again. I have not touched the expansions. I've read the rules. I've looked through them. I haven't played the expansions. I haven't needed to. I keep playing the game and I keep having so much fun with it. D.E.I. is just an area control game where it's about area control. It's not about killing each other. It's not about anything else. It's about area control, managing your resources, trading them in for cards so you can take stronger and stronger actions. There is an ebb and pace and flow to the game that is so satisfying, and everything's about the restrictions and what you can't do, and then all the powers and abilities and cards and upgrades and all those things that let you break the rules so that you can do those things. I've had so much fun with D.E.I. and I continue to have fun with it. D.E.I. is absolutely fantastic. It's my number 1 game so far of 2023. I think it's a 2023 title. I could be wrong. It might be a 2022 title. I don't know. But it's a fantastic experience, a fantastic game, and I'm very, very much looking forward to, I don't know. It's a fantastic game. It's an absolutely fantastic game. I adore D.E.I. and I highly, highly recommend it. I just saw Dice Tower reviewed it as well. They also very much enjoyed it. I was happy to see that. Not that they have to share my taste or opinions, but it's nice to see when something you love, other people love as well. And it's always a little sad when you're like, oh, I love it. Why doesn't someone else love it? D.E.I. is amazing. I'm enjoying it a lot, and it's one of those games that I'm always down for. If you see me at any convention, any time, and you want to play a game, D.E.I. is one of your best bets to get me to play a game. Like, I love that experience, and I'm looking forward to diving into it more. And that's my best games of 2023 so far. 25 games, 10, well, I was going to say 10, but I focused more on the last 10. 25 game experiences from 2023. These are the best 25 games I've played this year from... Actually, from how many? Let's see from how many games I've played this year. If I go through this over here, let's go here. In 2023, to date, I have played... go through here. 1 second. I have played 260 games, 150 of which are new to me. So these are the 25 best ones from those. So this is my best sixth, the top sixth, I guess, which makes sense. But either way, that's it. That's the video. Let me know what your favorite game to play this year has been so far. I'm very curious as far as what I'm missing, what I haven't gotten to the table yet. There's always so many games that come out, hundreds and hundreds of games. 5,000 plus games come out every single year, and from those 5,000 games, generally at least 500 of them are worth paying attention to. I've gotten to 150 of them so far, so I'm doing decently, but I always have a lot more to do. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.